Hey guys! Tonight we tumble straight into a travel story you might know all too well. Your bag's too heavy, your gate is too far, and the guy in front of you just took off his shoes for some reason. You're trapped in a whirlwind of fluorescent lights, uncooperative escalators, and a voice on the speaker saying your flight is already boarding, 5 terminals away. You're an airport, and suddenly English matters more than ever. You clutch your overstuffed carry-on like it's a flotation device. A stern security officer gestures at your liquids. You forgot about the tiny shampoo bottle in your backpack. Oops. As the officer explains the 311 rule in rapid English, you only catch limit, ounces, throw away. You try to smile. It doesn't work. Welcome to the real English test. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, where are you listening from? Drop your city and local time in the comments. I love knowing where you're all tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You walk toward gate 12B. Wait, was it 21B? You squint at the departure screen. Ah, there it is. Delayed. Again. You exhale and look around. A teenager nearby is arguing with her mom over FaceTime, dropping rapid English phrases like, "You're literally insane," and "I'm not even kidding." You make mental notes. Slang everywhere. You sit down across from a friendly-looking guy with a travel pillow around his neck. He smiles. You panic. Small talk time. "So, first time flying?" you offer, instantly regretting it. He chuckles. "Nope, frequent flyer. You?" You nod too quickly. "Yes, I'm beginner flyer." He grins. "Hey, it's all good. Everyone starts somewhere." And just like that, you're in it, learning English the way it was meant to be learned, awkwardly, in public, under pressure. The conversation picks up. He uses words like layover, red-eye, and turbulence. You nod, repeating them silently in your head. These are real words, not textbook ones. You think back to that lesson about travel vocabulary and realize this is the practical version. A woman nearby spills her coffee. The man sighs. Well, that's just the cherry on top. Cherry? What cherry? There's no dessert. You later learn it's an idiom. The cherry on top means one more thing in a series of annoyances that makes it even worse, like a sarcastic garnish. Soon, he starts telling you about a trip to Italy where the airline lost his luggage. It's like the moment you see that empty baggage carousel and your heart just dies a little inside. He jokes. You laugh. You don't fully get it, but his tone helps. That's another thing about English. You read the feeling before the words. As you listen, you spot a pattern. Native speakers often downplay problems with humor. Well, that went south fast. It got worse. Guess I'll survive when something annoying happens. Classic Monday. Used sarcastically when things go wrong. You try one. "This gate is cursed, huh?" He laughs. "Cursed? That's a new one. I like it." You're learning, and you're not even trying that hard. Now here's the historical sprinkle. Did you know the first commercial airport opened in 1919 in Germany? Frankfurt Airport evolved from military grounds to one of the most bustling hubs in Europe. Meanwhile, historians still argue whether the first scheduled passenger airline, launched in 1914 between St. Petersburg and Tampa, can truly be called an airline, since it used a flying boat and barely ran for 4 months. Your new friend begins to pack up. "Well, I guess I'll go pace near the charging station until my flight boards." Pace? You picture a lion in a zoo. Oh, it means walking back and forth, aimlessly. You store it. Before he leaves, he leans down and adds, "Don't stress. Travel's just organized chaos. You'll be fine." Organized chaos. You like that. You're alone again, and suddenly it hits you. You just held a casual conversation in English. Not perfect, not polished, but real. And no one exploded, no grammar police showed up. A chime rings out. New gate update. You glance at the screen. Your flight's now at 22C. Of course it is. You haul your carry-on, smile at a security guard, and mutter, "Classic Monday." She chuckles. You nailed it. As you walk, you notice an ad for airport massages. The slogan reads, "You deserve a little peace before takeoff." You whisper the phrase, enjoying how the words roll off your tongue. A little peace. You like the sound of that. And just as you're about to step onto the escalator, a kid behind you yells, "Dad, I forgot my bag at security." Ah, yes, another day at the airport, another chapter in your English journey. And you're already boarding fluency. You find yourself seated at a corner booth in a 24-hour diner, the kind with cracked red leather seats and a menu that hasn't been updated since 1987. The smell of burnt coffee, frying oil, and something vaguely sweet lingers in the air. The fluorescent lights hum above you, buzzing just enough to be annoying but not enough for anyone to fix them. You glance at the laminated menu. It's an English jungle. Words like over easy, sunny side up, and hash browns smothered and covered make your brain tilt sideways. You want eggs, just eggs. But here, eggs come with a personality crisis. A waitress approaches, gum chewing, pen behind one ear, energy like she's already over this shift. She leans in. "What'll it be, sugar?" "Sugar?" You blink. Did she just call you sugar? You smile awkwardly. Just egg, maybe." She raises an eyebrow. "How you want 'em?" You freeze. Want them? Cooked? Boiled? Hot? But your brain short-circuits. She waits, pen tapping the pad. Scrambled, poached, fried, sunny side up, over medium, what you feelin'? Scrambled, you say, the only word you remember from TV shows. "Comin' right up." She pivots away with a shout. "Scramble on too, side of toast." You exhale, shoulders relaxing. English at a diner is its own dialect. Across from you sits a man in a hoodie reading a newspaper. Yes, a paper one. He looks up and smiles. "First time in a real American diner?" You nod. "Yes, very shiny." He chuckles. "That's one word for it." You begin chatting, and he starts to share conspiracy theories. It's not even 2 a.m., and you're about to learn English the late-night way. "Did you know," he says, lowering his voice, "that pigeons are actually government drones?" You laugh nervously. "Like robot birds?" "Exactly. And the moon landing? Shot in a warehouse in Cleveland." You nod politely, pretending to believe him. He's entertaining, if nothing else. And boy, does he talk fast. Through him, you pick up slang like, "No cap, I'm not lying." "Dead serious." "Completely true." "Sketchy." "Suspicious." He points to your plate. "That bacon's fire." "Fire? It's burning?" You raise an eyebrow, confused. He clarifies. "Fire means it's really good, delicious." You chew slowly. The bacon is fire, apparently. Here's your quirky historical nugget. The word diner comes from dining car, because the original diners were train cars turned into roadside eateries. They became popular in the early 1900s in the US. And get this, historians still argue whether the first true American diner was opened in Rhode Island in 1872, or if it was actually an earlier pushcart that served hot meals to factory workers in New York. As your new friend goes off on a tangent about Area 51 and time-traveling lizards, the waitress returns with your check. "Y'all good?" she asks, setting the bill down with a wink. You nod. "All good, thank you." "Sugar." She grins. "That's the spirit." You glance at the receipt. The words subtotal, gratuity, and tax catch your eye. You pay in cash, leaving a few extra dollars on the table. Tip culture, you remember, is big here. Still strange, though. Tipping for someone bringing you food you already paid for? But that's the custom. Outside, the night air bites a little. You pull your jacket tight and breathe in the scent of asphalt, bacon grease, and stale coffee. The diner behind you glows like a portal to a parallel universe of accents, idioms, and conspiracy theories. And now you know. "I'll have" equals standard way to order. "On the side" equals served separately. "Refill" equals more drink, often free. As you walk, you repeat phrases under your breath. "Fire," "no cap," What'll it be, sugar? English is a mosaic, and sometimes the best pieces are hidden between coffee stains and hash browns. You glance back once more at the diner. A neon sign flickers, open always. You smile. Yeah, so is your mind. You wake up to the sound of someone gargling water at full volume, followed by a loud sniff and the unmistakable crackle of a plastic bag being crumpled into infinity. Welcome to the hostel life. Your bunk bed creaks as you sit up. The mattress is thinner than a yoga mat, and your pillow has mysteriously disappeared in the night. You peek over the edge and lock eyes with the culprit, your roommate, an enthusiastic snorer/backpacker from somewhere vaguely Scandinavian, judging by the accent and the heavy use of the word yeah. He smiles. Morning. I snore, yes. Sorry, my nose is, how do you say, dramatic. You laugh. Very dramatic, yes. Hostel English is a survival language. You don't need perfect grammar, you need gestures, charm, and maybe earplugs. Around the shared kitchen, conversations in broken English flow like warm instant noodles. Someone offers you a cuppa. Cuppa? Cuppa tea, they clarify. Oh, cuppa, cuppa. You file it away. Another traveler says, I'll just pop to the loo. Pop? Loo? Sounds like something from a Dr. Seuss book. Turns out that's British for go to the bathroom quickly. In just 15 minutes, you hear cheeky, playful or slightly rude, like a cheeky smile. Kip, a short nap. Gutted, very disappointed. Sorted, everything's under control. Every accent teaches you something new. Australian, brekkie instead of breakfast. Irish, crack means fun. Canadian, a tacked onto the end of every sentence like a punctuation mark of politeness. You join a group talking about where they've been. A French girl says, in Vietnam, I was nearly dying from spicy noodles. So spicy, I was hallucinating my past life. Someone laughs and says, yeah, those noodles really slapped. Slapped? You're confused. But apparently, in Gen Z English, if something slaps, it means it's really, really good. Let's sprinkle in some history here. Hostels, as an idea, began in Germany in the early 1900s. A teacher named Richard Shearman wanted safe, cheap accommodations for students traveling across the country. By the 1930s, hostels had spread across Europe, but historians still argue whether the true birth of the modern backpacker culture came from post-WW2 youth movements or the hippie trails of the 1960s. Back to your hostel kitchen, where the toaster is making that terrifying pop sound again, you meet a guy from Brazil who's been traveling for 6 months straight. He says, I just crash wherever. Couch, floor, no problem. I'm chill. You ask what crash means, and he explains. To crash is slang for falling asleep quickly, often wherever you are. Like, I crashed at a friend's place. Another one to remember. Later, you sit in the common area under a string of sad fairy lights that haven't lit up since Halloween. A heated argument breaks out over which is better, American pizza or Italian pizza. A Spanish girl says, American pizza is like a cake made of cheese. A New Yorker fires back, don't hate on deep dish, it's a national treasure. You sip your watery coffee and listen, absorbing tones, phrases, sarcasm, rhythm. Then comes the debate about who snores the loudest in room 12. Everyone laughs when someone accuses the German guy. I do not snore, he insists, indignant. I breathe powerfully. Power breathing becomes the hostile meme of the day. Later, your snoring roommate leans over and says, you speak good English. Not perfect, but good. You grin. You too. Your nose is still dramatic, though. He laughs hard enough to wake the person on the top bunk. And just like that, you realize something. English isn't about perfect sentences or knowing every grammar rule. It's about connection, humor, timing, the courage to say cuppa without flinching. As the hostel settles into its daytime quiet, you scribble down some new vocabulary in your notebook. Pop to the loo, crash at someone's place, gutted but sorted, slaps, good, power breathing, not official, yet. Outside, the world is wide. Your English is still patchy, but it's growing, alive and well. And if all else fails, smile, point, and say, "Sorry, my English is still waking up." Because in this chaotic, multilingual jungle of a hostel, everyone gets it, and they're rooting for you. The sun is blazing, and the air smells like a mixture of grilled meat, cheap perfume, and freshly fried dough. You're in the middle of a sprawling outdoor street market, and English is flying at you from all directions, haggling, joking, convincing, scamming. It's loud, colorful, and very, very real. You stroll past a stall selling fake designer sunglasses. A guy in a tank top yells, "Hey boss, Gucci, $10, special for you." You pause. Gucci? For $10? That's generous. You ask, "Is it real?" He grins. "It's real inspired, you get me?" Ah, inspired. A new word for definitely fake. You laugh, and he laughs with you. Street market English is 90% charm and 10% actual vocabulary. Everything's special deal, one-time offer, today only. They call you boss, friend, sister, or champ, depending on how desperate they are to make a sale. You pass a fruit vendor arguing with a tourist. "I gave you $5, the tourist says. The vendor shrugs. "You gave me a 5, not this 5. A classic scam? Maybe, but also a golden opportunity to learn dispute English. You listen closely. "I want a refund." "That's not what you said earlier." "This is false advertising." "I'm going to write a review." All phrases you'd never find in a textbook, but you'll definitely need someday. You decide to try haggling. A vendor is selling wooden figurines. "How much for this one?" you ask. "$25, but for you, I do $20. You raise an eyebrow. "How about $15? He shakes his head dramatically. "You're killing me. $17, final price." You smile. "Deal." And just like that, you learn the rhythm of bargaining English. What's your best price? Can you do better? Let's meet halfway. Throw in something extra, meaning give me a freebie. Now for your history bite. Did you know Victorian England had its own notorious market scammers? In the 1800s, mock auctions were staged, where actors pretended to bid on items, driving prices up for real customers. They sold fake gold, fake watches, some even sold miracle tonics. Historians still argue whether these mock auctions were technically illegal or just entrepreneurial performance art. Back in the present, a woman bumps into you and mutters, "Watch it." You turn. "Sorry." She rolls her eyes and storms off. You whisper her phrase to yourself, "Watch it," a casual warning short for "watch where you're going." You find a food stand selling skewers. "What's this?" you ask, pointing. "Meat," the vendor says. "What kind?" "Meat." You smile. "Okay, mystery meat it is." You bite in. It's chewy, possibly goat, definitely spicy. "Good?" the vendor asks. You nod. "Slaps." He looks puzzled. "Slaps?" You realize you've just taught him slang. The English exchange works both ways. Nearby, a man plays guitar with a bucket for tips. A little sign reads, "Trying to afford my ex-girlfriend's Netflix account." You chuckle. Humor in English often lives in signs. Some funny, some confusing, some trying way too hard, but all part of the language. You overhear a guy on his phone. "I got scammed, bro. Bought a Bluetooth speaker. It's just a box." You catch the word scammed and add it to your growing mental vocabulary cloud. Scammed equals tricked out of money. Ripped off equals paid too much. Sketchy equals suspicious. Legit equals real or authentic. You head toward the exit with your figurine, your sunglasses, and your dignity mostly intact. A kid runs past you shouting, "Mom, this guy gave me change in Monopoly money." You smile. Another life lesson. Even scams come with great English practice. You glance at your new sunglasses. Slightly crooked. One lens has a scratch. But hey, only $10. And the lesson? Priceless. As you leave, a voice shouts after you. "Hey boss, you forgot your change." You turn around. A different vendor hands you a coin. It's bent and unusable. Souvenir, he winks. And just like that, you learn one more word for today. Irony. You stand outside a coffee shop, nervously checking your reflection in the glass. Hair? Okay. Shirt? Fine. Breath? Could be better. You've got a first date in 5 minutes, and already you've rehearsed the phrase, "nice to meet you," 26 times in your head. Each time, it sounds more robotic. The door jingles. You step inside. She's there, smiling, real. You freeze slightly before walking over. "Hi," you say, then fumble the next part. "You look, extremely present." She blinks. You meant to say nice or pretty or literally anything that didn't make her sound like a weather pattern. She laughs. "Thanks, I think." You sit. Your brain hits panic mode. Every word feels like a trap. You reach for the menu. Safe zone. She asks, "What are you getting?" You panic again. "Maybe brown water?" "Brown water?" You wave the menu like a white flag. Coffee. You both laugh. Good. Progress. Dating in English, it's like walking a tightrope with a thesaurus and a blindfold. You try to be funny, polite, confident, and casual, all while second-guessing verb tenses. She asks, "So, what do you do for fun?" You answer, "I read many books, much books, a lot of the book." She tilts her head. "A bookworm, huh?" You nod quickly. "Yes, I eat books." She bursts out laughing. "You mean you love to read?" "Yes, I'm kidding. I don't eat books. Not daily." You both crack up. Turns out, humor survives the grammar apocalypse. She shares that she's into yoga and true crime podcasts. You nod like you understand, though you're still trying to figure out what true crime actually means. Real murder? Real detectives? Real everything? You look it up later. It's basically horror stories, but with facts. Wild. She leans in. "So, what's the most embarrassing thing you've done in English?" You tell her the story about calling a customs officer mom instead of ma'am. She howls. "That's adorable." You beam. English has never felt this alive. Time for your mainstream historical fact. Did you know that Shakespeare invented over 1,700 words still used in English today? Words like bedroom, lonely, and even eyeball. But historians still argue whether he truly invented them or just popularized slang already spoken on the streets of Elizabethan London. Back in the present, your date's sipping her latte. Foam clings to her upper lip like a little mustache. You want to tell her, but how? You try. "You have a little latte hat." She looks puzzled. You point. "On your lip. Milk hat?" She wipes her mouth and laughs again. "I'll take it. Better than spinach in my teeth." As you continue chatting, you catch new phrases. "He ghosted me." "Stopped replying." "Total red flag." "Warning sign in dating." "We had zero chemistry." "No romantic spark." "It was a vibe." "It felt right or weird, depending on tone." You add your own. "I think this is a good vibe." She smiles. "Agreed. Great vibe." After coffee, you walk together toward the park. The conversation flows easier now. You even joke back. You say, "If I had $1 for every mistake I made in English, I could buy Twitter." She nods. "And still not fix it." You reach a little fountain. A kid is throwing coins in. "Make a wish," she says. You toss one. "I wish to be fluent without panic." She chuckles. "Hey, you're almost there." Later, at the crosswalk, she says, "Let's do this again." You reply, "For sure, unless I mess up and call you a vegetable next time." She laughs so hard, a couple behind you stares. You smile. You're learning. And you know what? This is what English was meant to be. Not drills, not flashcards, but real connections, real mistakes, real laughs. You say goodbye and walk away whispering words to yourself. Latte hat. Ghosted. Red flag. Eyeball. Vibe. You feel proud. Not perfect, but definitely fluent enough to survive a first date. You sit in a stiff, two-upright chair in a waiting room that smells like freshly printed paper and nervous sweat. A potted plant in the corner is definitely fake, and the motivational poster above the receptionist's desk says, "Every setback is a setup for a comeback." Cool, very helpful. You're about to walk into your first job interview conducted entirely in English. Your palms are sweaty. You whisper a quick mantra. Don't mess up, don't say anything weird, don't call the boss daddy. The door opens. We're ready for you. You walk in, straight-backed, trying to radiate calm, professional energy, even though inside your brain is yelling, "What's the word for enthusiastic but not desperate?" You shake hands, firm but not too firm. "Nice to meet you," you say. Nailed it. The interviewer gestures for you to sit. "Tell me a bit about yourself." Ah, the dreaded open-ended English question. You begin. "I am a person who works with things and ideas." A pause. You force a smile. The interviewer nods. "Can you elaborate?" You launch into your prepared phrases. "I am passionate about new challenges. I work well in a team and also individually. I'm very focused, focusing." Your grammar stumbles, but your tone stays confident. She asks, "What's your greatest strength?" You reply, "I never stop. I work like a washing machine." She blinks. You try again. Like, "Steady, reliable, not spinning out." She laughs. "Got it, persistent." You nod. Yes, persistent machine. Now for the real test, the dreaded weakness question. What would you say is your biggest weakness? You consider honesty. English. Too honest. You answer, "Sometimes I do too much perfection." "Too much perfection," she repeats, amused. "Yes, I want everything polished." She smiles. Classic. The conversation shifts. She says, "Tell me about a time you faced conflict at work." You pause. "Once I argue with a coworker. He, how do you say, hid the stapler for 2 weeks." She raises an eyebrow. You explain, "We shared desk. He always takes stapler. I hide it back. It was passive-aggressive Olympics." She snorts. And just like that, the interview loosens. You found the rhythm. Let's time travel a second for your historical fact. In the 1800s, resumes were literally handwritten letters of introduction carried by messengers. There were no LinkedIn profiles, just ink, paper, and a handshake. Historians still argue whether Leonardo da Vinci's famous 1482 letter to the Duke of Milan counts as the first resume in history. In it, he brags about building bridges, designing war machines, and painting a bit on the side. Modest, right? Back in the office, you notice the interviewer glancing at your resume. She points. "What does team leadership mean in your past job?" You explain. "I lead small team. We sell very stubborn shoes." Stubborn shoes? You gesture. "Shoes no one wants, but I make them cool." She laughs. "You mean you turned an unpopular product into a hit?" You nod. "Yes, like magic, but with shoes." She jots down a note. "Tell me, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" You panic. 5 years? You don't even know where your socks are tomorrow. You take a breath. "I want to grow, to be useful, not just for money, for meaning." She looks up. "That's actually a great answer." You smile. You're still nervous, but your words are working now. They're not perfect, but they're you. She finishes. "We'll be in touch soon. Any questions for us?" You've practiced this part. Yes. What do you love most about this job? Her face softens. No one ever asks that. Boom. End on a high note. You leave the office and exhale so hard, a pigeon turns to look at you. And as you walk away, you whisper, "Persistent, polished, conflict, stubborn shoes, passive-aggressive Olympics." You grin. You survived. And just like a washing machine, you're still spinning, steady, loud, and learning every turn of the cycle.